Okay, how to put one of these in there. I've already taken away the old one, or what is left of it. The trickiest part was to take off these screws. They were like so rusty. They were like one of the trickiest screws I've faced so far with this car. They have this Torx mount. I think that's like Torx 27, but they were so soft that there's like barely anything left of them. So first I took off some rust with like with that and with this and with some rust remover. So first I used like a 10mm wrench. At first it didn't fit, but I was just hammering it in. Like literally I was using a hammer to get this in. And then when I tried to turn it, it got soft and it started like just rotating around and the screw didn't move. So after that I got a 9mm wrench and then I hammered that in. It was like much more difficult to hammer this 9mm in, but eventually it stuck to the screw, and then I just pulled like hell and it came off. The last one was trickier. Even with the 9mm it got soft and it got rounded and it didn't work. So what I did was I took it off from the original orientation, and then I went in from another angle. I had to hammer it again, so I had to hammer it in twice with this bolt. And then, now imagine that this wrench is 9mm. So I hammered in the 9mm, and at the same time I took like an adjustable wrench like this and I twisted it from the Torx mount, and I turned both of them at the same time, and there was just enough force that they didn't round up, and I was really lucky to get it out. I hope you're as lucky as I was. But yeah, then the parts came off and I just took off some rust, and if you can get like new screws before you do this, I'll have to put on these old ones, but I'll probably replace them later. But now what I have to do is to saw this off. I'm not gonna take everything apart. I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna just saw a bit off and then put it there. So see you in a bit. This already seems quite bendy, and I think I might be able to just fit it without cutting it any more than this. So I'm just gonna bend it. Okay, it's not gonna work. I need to cut it more. I cut it a bit closer to the bigger part than last time. And this time I used a pair of these metal cutters, or whatever they're called. It's so much easier than with a saw. If you have a pair of these, don't use a saw like I did. Ta-da! I was gonna say that it's just perfect, but it's almost perfect. You see these little sharp edges? I'm gonna hammer them down a bit. Yes, it's there. I've screwed it in, and even if there's a piece missing, it feels pretty sturdy. And just to make a point, this is the only spot I cut off. How much protection was it gonna give anyways? At this point I noticed that my brake shield is too small for my brake disc. And apparently there are two sizes of brake discs, so make sure that you get the right brake shield for your brake disc. I ended up staying with this brake shield anyway because it seemed to give sufficient protection after some adjustments. So this step is completely optional. I hope you got the right sized part. Finally, it's in place. I was hammering it down quite a long time and also doing little bends with the screwdriver. Okay, that's all for now. Bye.